All right, we're back at it.
Back at it again.
And today we're talking about Law 30 from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And Law 30 says, make your accomplishments seem effortless. Your actions must seem natural and executed with ease. So make your accomplishments seem effortless. All the toil and practice that go into them, and also all the clever tricks, must be concealed. When you act, act effortlessly, as if you could do much more. Avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work.
Yeah.
It only raises questions. Teach no one your tricks, or they will be used against you. Law 30, make your accomplishments seem effortless.
Yeah.
And I have seen this play out. I've seen people use this law, and I'm a big fan of magic, as you know, and we were talking about the other day. And
Yeah.
this is the law for magicians. This is the law for magicians and how they make the impossible seem possible in an effortless way, right? Um, what are your thoughts on Law 30?
I agree with you because, you know, I like playing tricks on my grandkids. And so I used a magic trick and I showed them the trick and they have to be in front of me. Okay. And their eyes went like, my God, how did you do this? Oh my God, how did you do this? And it's a simple magic trick that anybody can do. It's a silly thing. Okay. So their eyes were like, oh my God, it was making a ball disappear. Okay. But then when I showed them how to do it, that sparkle in their eyes were gone.
Yeah.
Because now they knew how to do it. And the older one went, oh, that's how you do it.
Right.
But
The magic is gone.
the magic is gone when you learn
The trick.
the trick.
Yeah.
And so and I did it because they wanted to know how it worked, but I saw the differences day and night.
Yeah.
And I can't help but think that with the public it would be the same thing.
Yes, I agree. I was thinking, magic. How does magic tie into the real workplace or the power dynamics that we face on a daily basis? But there is a lot of that, creating illusions, and there is a lot of trying to hide your tricks in business also.
Correct.
I'll share that I remember this gentleman that I was mentoring. He was mentoring me in the financial services world. Was very protective of his quote unquote tricks, and when he was mentoring, he was mentoring me. It was very um, everything was deliberate, specific as to what I was going to see, strategic, and what I wasn't. And I remember one time
strategic to what you were going to see and what you weren't going to be shown by
correct.
him.
Yeah, I knew that it's like if somebody gives you a tour of the house, but they stay away from a certain room, or they stay away from but that was part, and I understand it now. Back then, I didn't really understand. But then I remember one time it came down. This man was very good at what he did, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
But also, this person had this. He had this thing of ease. He could go into a room in an appointment, and he could come out of that room making $40,000, $50,000, $80,000. I mean, he made it look easy. And I was in some rooms where huge sums of monies were made with him, in terms of his ability to sell.
Wow.
And then I remember one time I did ask him about certain things, and it had to do with money. I wanted to make more money because he was mentoring me, and he said, "Oh, I'm just gonna pay you more money, teach you everything, and then you're just gonna leave me, and you're gonna become my competitor." It was interesting because I don't know if that was a moment of weakness where he revealed that that was his fear from the get go. But the reason I brought it up was because it was clear that this person was very good at what they did and they did not reveal all their tricks. And so when one reads Law 30 and they think, make your accomplishments seem effortless, maybe they might be thinking, how does that actually apply in the real world? But if you're working at a company or somewhere, maybe you don't reveal everything, right? Maybe you hold some things because the moment that they find out how you did everything, and that's one thing in corporations, when somebody does well, they pick you out and they put you on a stage and they say, hey, tell us all your tricks so that everyone can learn your tricks.
Tell us how you did it.
Tell
We
us
want
how
to
you did
learn
it.
from you.
So
Correct.
so that's one of my experiences with
That's
it.
very interesting, and actually, that's very powerful. You know? Yeah, that he told you, oh, so I'm just going to show you everything I do, teach you everything how I do it, and then one day you're going to take off. You know, he's right, potentially, but it's also a sign of a little bit of insecurity, right? Because you want to retain the person. You know, that fear potentially can be had by every business owner, you know? Because at some point, I remember interviewing people for a position in our company, and, you know, you want to retain the people that are really, really good. Because you can have the training all in the world, but if you're not ready to receive it and you're not ready to act upon it,
Yeah.
all the training in the world is not going to do anything. Okay? And it has to fit just right. Like, for example, this gentleman was training two of you, but the second person said, hey, it's not really for me. I don't feel it.
Yeah.
And so they went on in another direction. And that particular person I'm talking about has done very, very well in the direction that they chose to go into.
So
But you did well with him because it fit your niche. It's like bringing, you
yeah, you
can't
got to
put a
be ready for
square
it.
peg into a square hole kind
Yeah.
of thing, right? It's got to be. It's very interesting.
But Robert Greene talks about Houdini,
Right.
Harry Houdini, which I looked into a little bit of the history. He was from Hungary, and his
Right.
name was not Harry Houdini. He changed his name when their family fled Hungary and landed in New York. But he was the master at showmanship. He knew how to grab a crowd. He knew Law 6, which he knew how to court attention at all costs. And he also made it look effortless. And that's what Robert Greene points out,
Right.
is that everybody was in awe as to how he was able to do these magic tricks.
Correct. You know, I can't help but think, you know, now in my later years, right, I have more time to do other things, okay? And so I've become a fanatic, not a fanatic, but I follow soccer a lot. And the example of Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo
Yeah.
versing each other it just comes to mind because I've seen several interviews where big, huge, extremely well-versed soccer players, you know, the best in the world, are asked, who do you think is the best soccer player in the world? And I kid you, I think 10 out of 10, if not 9 out of 10, but I think all of them, without any exception, they say that Messi is the best soccer player.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, Cristiano Ronaldo, for whom I have tremendous respect, okay, is a training machine. Okay? But what these guys are saying is that things come naturally to Messi.
Right.
Okay? And what this law is saying, if it comes naturally to you, like there's no mimicking Mother Nature. Mother Nature is the mother of everything. Everything for Mother Nature is easy.
Easy. It just comes natural.
So when it comes natural and when it comes easy and it's instinctive, like breathing, for example, Messi taking that ball and nobody can, you know, people think, what else can he do? There's no limit to his abilities.
Right.
Okay?
Because he's making it look easy.
He's making it look easy, and for the world, it seems like it's instinctive, it's in his DNA.
Right.
Okay? So for Messi, you know, there's no limit.
He's a magician with the ball.
But Cristiano Ronaldo is absolutely excellent in every sense of the word.
Right.
But he's gotten there by hard work. He's gotten there by training. There's an Argentinian guy that played with him. You know, the guy that we've talked about before. He had like a...
Tevez?
What's his name?
Tevez?
Tevez. And Tevez has... I've seen this interview several times where he says, you know, I went to practice and Cristiano Ronaldo was already there. So I said, okay, well, tomorrow I'm coming 30 minutes earlier. So he got there at 6 and Cristiano was already there. He says, well, tomorrow I'm going to beat him. I came in at, 5:30 and Cristiano was already there. And then he says, well, I will beat him now. I'll be there at 5 in the morning. He got there at 5 in the morning and Cristiano Ronaldo was already there training. And he says,
Yeah.
I have a great deal of respect for this man.
Of course.
I mean, he was the first one to show up and the last one to leave.
You
But-
can argue more respect for that person who doesn't have the God-given talent or been touched by
By God,
something, right? Like Messi, you can argue, there's an argument out there that Cristiano Ronaldo deserves, right, more, and he could be said to be the best player in the world because he was not given that God-given gift like Messi. Now, this is just for fun, right? But there's an argument there. Messi, it comes natural. Of course, he trains.
I have a great deal of respect for Cristiano Ronaldo and all of the Cristiano Ronaldos out there. Whatever
Right.
career you find yourself
Well,
in,
Kobe
engineering.
Bryant was known to do that. Michael Jordan was known to do that. I mean, to be showing up early, training super hard. So there's several people, but the Messi's Law 30 applies to Messi, not Cristiano Ronaldo, because Messi's making it look effortless.
Right.
And there was a quote in there that says, "Nature does not reveal its tricks, and what imitates nature by appearing effortless approximates nature's power."
Say that again?
Nature does not reveal its tricks,
Uh-huh.
and what imitates nature by appearing effortless approximates nature's power.
Right, right. That is in the... Yeah, in the...
And one of the things is another quote Robert Greene says is, avoid the temptation of showing how clever you are and how much hard work you put into things.
Correct.
Because
and see, Cristiano Ronaldo
he shows it.
the world
Oh, yeah.
that he's been working out and
Yes.
this and that. He's a machine.
He's a machine.
Now, he kicked the ball for a goal, and I think the goalie stopped it. I think the goalie stopped the ball, but the kick was so powerful that it broke his bones. It
Oh,
broke
yeah?
one of his bones.
Wow.
So he's got a cannon for a leg.
Oh, but yeah. So,
But see, I don't know who kicks strongest. This would be something interesting to look at.
I
There's
think
a
it's-
couple of guys out there that have a stronger kick than Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, but they're not leading in goals.
yeah, it's not only how strong you can kick.
Well, can you imagine breaking somebody's bone?
Yeah, I mean, I
There's
don't know.
one guy that broke somebody's wrist, and there's another guy that broke the one of the foot,
Yeah.
the bones in the foot. And these are different guys, and I think one of them is Cristiano. Now I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. There is a record out there. of how hard they hit. But anyway, I apologize. But yeah, see, the thing is that when you are doing things effortlessly and things come naturally to you, like let's say Messi playing ball,
Mm-hmm.
then people don't know where your cap is.
Correct.
You're
Correct.
infinite. You're infinite you're a magician with the ball. God
Right.
knows what he's going to do next.
Correct.
Because it's like breathing to you. Whereas you compare it with Cristiano Ronaldo, and a lot of people would think, oh, he's absolutely awesome, but every move has been predicated. He's practiced everything. It doesn't necessarily come natural to him. So the other guy will over. And, I think that's a very good example of the law. And you can
Yeah.
apply that to business. For example, you're saying that you were privy to being in these rooms where big, huge sums of money were made.
Yeah. Well,
Can you imagine?
well, one of the yeah, it's I mean, and then he walks out of there, and everybody's like, "Whoa, how did this guy do that?"
How did you do that?
Um,
I would give anything to be a fly on the wall, right?
I think one of the really important pieces is avoid the temptation of revealing how hard you work. It only raises questions, because the only reason you would reveal how hard you work is you want credit,
Right.
you want attention,
Right.
but you don't have to do that. It's let the actions speak for themselves.
Right. And I understand this now, and I've understood this for a few years, but the first time I read that law, it didn't hit me like it does now. Okay? So
Right.
I propose to everybody that you can read the 48 Laws of Power when you're in your 20s, and if you read them again when you're in your 30s, you're still going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
It's not a book that
Oh, yeah.
it's a one-time read. It's just so powerful. And
Any book that that has a deep meanings like this and up for interpretation, I think when you read it really matters,
That's
because
true.
how mature you are. But I agree. I mean, you could go through these laws, like when we first came into these laws years ago, and now in reviewing them again, it's a different perspective for sure.
Oh, for sure,
because you've lived more.
right.
You've seen it.
Well, you lived them.
You've lived them.
It's not like it's if you're just reading the book and you haven't been exposed yourself to any particular one of them, it's like a spherical, right? It's out there.
Yeah.
You believe it, it's a book, you write it, you see the importance of it, but it settles with you differently if you have lived them.
Correct.
And if you stay long enough in business, you're going to go through every single one of them.
Correct.
Because they're definitely out there whether we want to admit it or not, They're
Yeah.
out there. People are scheming, conniving, Machiavellian
They're out there looking for your tricks. They're out there looking for how you did it.
to replace you.
People always want to know how magic is done. They always want to know the secrets.
Right.
But the best magicians don't reveal them.
Right. Well, yeah.
The act of being nonchalant, right? Which the origins of that word are French. They comes from France, and it's basically to be like disregard, careless, or indifferent. You're just nonchalant. You make a 3-pointer, nonchalant, no celebration.
No big
that was
deal.
easy, no big deal. You make the best goal of your life, no big deal. You close the biggest deal of your life, no big deal.
But everybody else is jumping for joy.
Everybody else is jumping for joy, so it's like a stoicness to you. you know yeah, I've personally avoid the temptation of showing how clever you are. I've struggled with that, right? Sometimes we want to show what
course.
we've accomplished.
It's only natural to seek approval or
Approval
credit,
or attention. Yeah. I like this quote. One never sees the source of a God's power revealed, and one only sees its effects. And another quote, keep your effort and your tricks to yourself, and you seem to have the grace and ease of a God.
Wow.
So Robert Greene's talking about creating this image of a godlike image that only Pablo can get that done, because he does it with such ease. And then in terms of the tricks, uh, I personally also struggle with that because as I was uh, growing and doing better within the financial industry, people started reaching out to me and wanted to learn some things and wanted me to train some of their staff or their people. And I always struggle with that because I always thought, oh, it's just going to lead to them being able to replace me, which is that's another law, becoming replaceable. But I think we do need to protect our quote unquote tricks. I do think we need to protect them now. But back then, I remember having conversations with you, and you were talking about protecting some of the things that I was doing, the knowledge that I had acquired through studies, through count hours and hours of tests and reading and practice,
And mentorship.
mentorship,
You were given certain, let's say, secrets,
pearls,
pearls,
and
of the game
also
that.
and also experience of being face to face with people. I had learned people's behavior
Right.
in the sales space, and then I'm going and teaching it. But you have to be careful what you teach, and so I personally struggled with that one, and
Oh,
I was
remember.
constantly fighting.
Oh yeah, I remember one time sitting with you and telling you, "Hey, listen," because people were reaching out to you so that you could train their staff,
Right.
and you were preparing like a training session. And I remember
Yeah.
sitting down with you and saying, "I don't think you should, you know, go overboard on this because you're going to be teaching them essentially to replace you." And I remember you and I disagreeing on that meeting. And I remember both of us getting up. We were, very cordial, but we didn't see eye to eye.
Right. Because I back then was thinking, you know, this is what maybe like this is like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe a little more. But
A little
I was
more,
I
yeah.
was 6 years, 7. But
Yeah.
I was thinking, no, I want to teach so that an abundance mindset. But you have to be careful because you're gonna teach yourself out of existence.
Right. And I say it a lot. There was a guy that we know that does, he flips properties, and he put together a seminar, and like 150 people showed up or something like that. A huge amount of people. And he gave us fantastic seminar.
Mhm.
And he gave out a lot of pearls. I'm sure that he didn't give out everything,
Sure.
but he gave out a lot, where I learned quite a bit. And I went up to him after the speech, the presentation, and I said, "Listen," his name is Christian. And I said, "You did a fantastic job. Congratulations." We shook hands. I said, "You gave out a lot of pearls." And he goes, "Yeah." And I asked him why. He says, "Well, potentially one of the people that's listening will know enough to identify a deal, but won't have the infrastructure to put it together, and they'll come to me as partners." Okay?
Smart.
So that was
Tactical.
tactical, and I
Strategic.
saw why he would give a little more than usual,
Right. That's
because he would potentially see. He said, and he also said, less than 5% of these people, less than 3% of these people are going to use anything that I've said. They're here to learn. They write it down, but they'll never implement it because that's what most people do. So he has a wide understanding of human nature also.
yes.
And he was tactical because he says some of the people in this audience potentially will be my partners.
And he's right.
And he was right.
Now, it reminds me a little bit where he is revealing some of his tricks intentionally,
Right.
strategically.
Correct.
And Houdini did that. Robert Greene shares the story that there was a German magician who was claiming that Houdini was, it was all fake about him being able to get out of the handcuffs. And so he challenged Houdini. He said some things about him that apparently were not true. They were lies.
Right.
But it got under, let's say, Houdini's skin to the point. You have his name?
I do not, but
I don't
I
have
know.
that magician's name. But he got to under his skin, and Houdini said, "Okay, I'll challenge you." He gets on the stage with this magician, and he lets him choose one of two handcuffs. But the gentleman chooses a French set of handcuffs. And then the magician, not Houdini, but the other magician, goes behind the curtain, gets himself out of the handcuffs just to test, comes back out to the stage, and then Houdini realized that he had caught on, and he was able to get out of the set of handcuffs. So Houdini says, "No, this is fraud. Something's going off, right?" And they go back and forth. They start wrestling up on stage until Houdini finally gives in and says, "Fine, you can try to get yourself out of the handcuffs." And the German magician could not get out of the handcuffs that he had just gotten out of some minutes before.
Correct.
Before the wrestle, the back and forth. And Houdini had found a way to change the code to get out of the handcuffs.
And he
so
humiliated this guy.
He humiliated
This guy
him.
was behind stage for
On stage for hours.
In the writings, it says that even some of the audience, a great portion of the audience left.
Right.
And he came out humiliated completely. It took him hours upon hours, and finally he says, "I can't do it. I just can't do it." And he changed the code. And you know what he changed the code to? The word fraud.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I wanted to see if I could find the name of this guy.
Houdini, man. I mean, you're talking about.
But the reason I brought that up was because Houdini knew that this other German magician was spying on him.
Was what?
No, he knew he was spying on him.
Oh, okay.
So he purposely allowed this magician to catch, through a spy, the code.
Right.
To get out of the French handcuffs.
Yeah.
So this magician already came in knowing the way out of the handcuffs, the French handcuffs.
Yeah.
So when Houdini gave him the option, do you want these French ones or the other ones? He knew that the other magician, was going to choose the French ones because he had leaked this information purposely. And that's the thing. If you reveal specific tricks to your trade intentionally, that is another form of, let's say, using this law 30.
Right, and there's one law that you speak a lot about, where the guy baits. Remember, you used the UFC fight.
Use bait if necessary. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Jorge Masvidal.
Jorge Masvidal. Very interesting. You know, I mean, these people that attain these levels of success, they're not there because they're pushovers or anything like that. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of strategy, and they're there for a reason. They put in the time. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and
but
there's some that are touched by the hand of God, like the Messis of the world. You have those in every field. Like, what's the name of that movie where the janitor is able to resolve that mathematical equation that the professor had put up on the wall? Remember that one?
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon and
Ben Affleck.
Right, but
no,
not Ben Affleck. The other guy that passed away. Robin Williams. Robin Williams. Yeah. So I don't think Ben Affleck is.
No, not in that one.
No, but he is a janitor.
You're right. Yeah.
And
yeah, he is in it. Yeah.
He is.
It's Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Robin Williams. Matt Damon was a janitor, but he was brilliant. Ben Affleck was his good friend, who was a construction worker.
If I come back in 10 years from now and you're still in this place, shame on you. Because Ben Affleck tells him, "You're gifted. What are you doing with your life?"
What a great movie!
It's a great movie.
For those who haven't seen it, Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
And he figured it out.
He figured it out because Robin Williams had left it. Was it Robin Williams who had, or a professor left?
No, a professor left it there for someone to figure it out.
On the chalkboard.
In the hallway.
In the hallway.
And he's cleaning up and he's just figured it out. There's another scene in that movie where Matt Damon
I'm gonna rewatch that movie
Me
now
too.
because yeah.
There's another scene in there where Matt Damon figures out this thing, and the professor, okay, is saying, "No, I just can't get this. It's none." And then he bursts out and he says, "You know how easy this is for me? You know how ridiculous it is for me to watch you labor over this kind of stuff when it comes to me like in seconds? It's ridiculous." And they have a fight,
Oh wow.
okay? And he's showing the essence of it. And he goes, "But how do you do it?" And he goes, "I don't know. I just do." And throughout history, there's another guy in India,
Gifted.
totally gifted. That he sent the theorems over to a university in England, and they brought him over, and it's the man who saw infinity or something like that.
Wow.
And he was an Indian mathematician that was born in the poorest place you could possibly think of, but yet he had this ability to do this. And then these are the Messis and you can find them in every field.
Correct.
Okay? There are some surgeons that are just absolutely gifted.
Well, you're talking about people who are truly gifted.
Yeah, well,
And we could say we all have a gift. But in terms of this law, you may not have a gift. You need to work extremely hard behind the scenes. But you don't reveal that
right,
to people.
right.
Because you're talking about people that are actually
You're right.
truly gifted in life, and
You're right.
and that those people exist as well. But I do think everybody has some sort of gift, and you just need to find and maybe fine tune it, right, and develop that.
Right.
But you got to work most of the time. You got to work hard at things, and that's one of the things you taught us growing up, is that you have to work hard at things. It's not like they just come to you. And I remember growing up, and we would do pizza parties at the office. It was my siblings and I. It was you and Mom working at the office on a Saturday night or a Friday night, let's say, working till late. And we were having pizza and having fun.
And watching movies. Walt Disney movies.
But you guys we were all in the office together.
Yeah.
On a Friday night.
Right. And
Because,
Mom and I were working, and you were in the back.
Right.
Having a good old time.
Having a good old time. And back then,
you were kids.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't fully understand it back then. Maybe some kids are more mature and would understand what's going on. However, now I look back at it and I say, wow, that was a sacrifice. That was the sacrifice that it took. Excuse me.
Have some coffee.
That was the sacrifice that it took to
get to whatever.
Get the business going.
Yeah, to get the business going.
To take it to certain levels, and
well, Patrick says it. You may be smarter than me, but there's one thing that you are not going to do over me, and that's overwork. Outwork me. And you know who says that too? Elon Musk. I mean, that guy has slept in his place of business. He hasn't gone back home to, take a fit. He slept in his office. And we knew a guy that came over from Vietnam, and he opened up a body shop, and he became extremely successful. And State Farm Insurance in the heydays would give him all of the works for accidents and body shop. And this guy he came from Vietnam. He had no training. How did he pick that field? How did he land that? And how did he get so good? And it was just his work ethic.
Yeah.
Amongst other things, you see an opportunity.
Well, he did have a special ability to connect with people.
He did.
Because how many years later you're still talking about him?
Right.
We all remember this gentleman in good memories. He had something that he had developed, God-given, whatever you want to call it, where he could connect with people. And that's something that is very powerful. If you have the ability to connect with people.
Oh. And he was, you learn from people like that. Because I remember going out to dinner with him one time. I told him, come out to dinner with us. And we invited him. And I remember him saying, hey, look, we're in a country where money is in the air.
Yeah.
all you have to do is reach out and grab it. And he was doing this at the restaurant, just going like this. And I remember looking around to see, because he looked a little,
Mm-hmm.
eccentric, let's say. He's going things like this.
It reminds me of
Like this. And I was looking at the tables around us to see, and there was a couple guys looking at us like, what's going on? And he says, it's money's in the air. All you have to do
but
is.
that was his mentality.
That was his
As an
mentality.
immigrant from Vietnam, communist country, he slept on a rock.
Oh,
To give his sister the bed or whatever, what was a bed.
and he got caught 9 times. He says that on the 9th time, they told him, if we catch you running through the jungle again, we know you're gonna die the next time.
Wow.
Because they beat him, and he still. So he got caught like 9 times coming out of there.
Can you imagine
hear
how bad
stories-
the situation is that you
Oh.
will risk your life?
Oh.
And you look at Cuba, same people are going on boats to,
Right.
shark infested waters to try to make it
Right.
to America, the United States. You reminded me though, when you were going like this, there's those game shows where sometimes they'll put you in it looks like a phone booth.
Okay.
And then there's air being pushed up from the bottom with dollar bills, and
Oh.
you get like 10 seconds in there or however amount of time, but you have to catch
Oh
the
my
dollar
God.
bills, and you get to keep whatever you walk out
Are
with.
there any hundreds in there?
I think so. I don't know. They're different game shows, but
I'll do it.
you're trying to catch them. You're trying to catch them. It reminds me though, that was his mentality in America. It's like money's up in the air just to grab it, because he wasn't afraid to work.
Well, I remember a story he told me, and I'll share it, and we'll get back to the law. But he told me, where dental implants, when they became available, he was the first patient to go in.
Wow.
Okay, because all his teeth had fallen out because he never had milk growing up, or very little. All the milk was given to his sisters and stuff, and he voluntarily gave them, so he didn't have any good bone structure. So when implants came out, he was the first one out there to get implants, because right after, and you know what he did right after he got implants? I hung with this guy a lot, because
I hope he's doing well.
I hope he's doing well. I hung with him a lot because putting things in perspective, this guy really made you realize what's important in life. After he got the implants, the first thing that John did, his name was John, was go buy himself a steak. And he'd be able to chew with his own teeth. Medium rare kind of thing, and the juices and stuff. He says, oh man, I thought I had died and gone to heaven.
Wow.
So you hear stories like this that puts you to shame, because whatever
It
level
humbles you.
It humbles you.
It humbles
It
you.
humbles you.
And
I hope John's doing good.
yeah. So yeah, I think that just to sum it up, this law, if we can use tactics, I think that, I don't think it's, personally, I believe in it, and I've used it, and I have, I think if you can use some of these tactics of keeping things to yourself, you don't have to, I was all working all weekend to get this done. It's like, you don't necessarily have to do that,
Right.
You can kind of show that you do it with ease. Oh, wow. Every time I rely on Mike, he doesn't need, he reminds me, there was a very nice lady that worked with us, with the family, and every time she would clean a certain area, she would keep all the dirt in the pan, so that when you would come by, you'd be, look, I cleaned all of this up. Right? You don't always have to do that. You don't always have to.
No, that was a bit unpleasant from time to time.
But any other things you want to throw in? Before we wrap
this
it
is
up?
good. This
Cool.
is good.
Love it. We're on Law 31 starting next week, so it continues.
It continues.
Thank you.